You know, it's funny. People scroll through life like it's one big joke. Notifications buzzing, likes piling up, everyone chasing something they don't even know what. But today you got something different. Not a text from your ex, not another inspirational quote from someone who never lived a hard day. No, this one's special. You woke up and the air felt heavier, didn't it? Like someone or something was trying to get your attention. Like the universe finally stopped laughing and leaned in close, real close, and whispered, "Hey, I've got something for you." You know what's funny? People think clarity comes wrapped in neat little packages, a TED talk here, a pretty little quote over a sunset background there. Believe in yourself, they say. Trust the process. Ha, what process? The 9 to 5 hamster wheel? The fake smiles? The quiet desperation behind every "I'm fine"? Let me tell you something they won't. Clarity doesn't come in peace. It doesn't come when the coffee's hot and the Wi-Fi's strong. No, it comes when everything burns, when the ground under your feet crumbles and the people you trusted vanish like smoke. That's when things get real clear. That's when chaos walks in and says, "Let me show you what matters." See, people run from chaos like it's the villain, but what they don't realize is it's the only one telling the truth. Chaos doesn't lie. It doesn't flatter you. It doesn't hold your hand. It grabs you by the collar, pulls you into the fire, and forces your eyes open. You think you're losing your mind? No, sweetheart. You're shedding your illusions. You're waking up. That panic in your chest, that's not weakness. That's your soul screaming through the static, trying to get a word in before you scroll past it. You ever noticed how when everything falls apart, suddenly you see things you didn't before? The fake friends, the empty goals, the lies you told yourself just to get through the day. Chaos wipes the board clean. It strips you bare, not to punish you, but to show you, to reveal what's been hiding underneath all that noise. And it doesn't whisper. Oh no. Chaos doesn't do whispers, it screams, it roars, it wrecks everything you thought was solid, because truth doesn't live in comfort zones. It lives in the wreckage, the rubble. That's where the message waits. And here's the best part. No one else hears it the way you do. That message, that moment when everything feels like it's falling apart, that's personal. That's tailor-made. That's the universe, God, fate, whatever name you want to give it, calling you out by name. Not politely, not gently. No, this isn't some soft little nudge. This is a full-on ambush, a divine sucker punch, a wake-up call in the form of a breakdown. You think it's coincidence? You think all of this came crashing down just because you were unlucky? Now, this is precision. This is design. But oh, you weren't listening before, were you? Too busy keeping it together. Too busy pretending. Smiling when you wanted to scream. Laughing at jokes that weren't funny. Trying to be normal, whatever the hell that means. And now you can't pretend anymore. Chaos took the mask and shattered it, left you raw, exposed. And finally, you can hear it, that message you've been dodging for years, the one that doesn't come in words, but in feelings, in patterns, in things falling apart just enough for you to see the truth behind them. Do you ever see people hit rock bottom and suddenly start creating, writing, painting, building, fighting for something real? You think that's an accident? That's the message working. That's chaos shaking them awake. Because clarity doesn't come from calm waters, it comes from the storm. The messy, violent, terrifying storm that rips away everything fake and leaves only what's real. And it's not pretty, it's not graceful, it's loud, it's uncomfortable, it's chaotic, but it's honest. And honesty, that's rare these days. Everyone's selling something, a brand, a dream, an image. But when the chaos hits, none of that matters. You're left with the bare bones of who you are. And that's when you see it, the truth you were too scared to face, the message that's been chasing you in the background. You just needed everything to fall apart to finally see it clearly. Because in chaos, there's no filter, no performance, just you and the truth. Pain, oh, that old friend. People hate it, fear it, drown it with pills, drown it with smiles, drown it with silence. They slap a bandage on it and pretend it's not there, walk around like broken machines, malfunctioning behind their perfect little routines. But let me tell you something nobody wants to admit. Pain isn't the problem. Pain is the messenger. The one thing in this whole circus that doesn't lie. It's not here to ruin your life. It's here to rewrite it. You stub your toe, you limp. You burn your hand, you pull away. That's simple, that's physical. But what about the pain you can't point to? The ache that shows up at 3 a.m. when you're staring at the ceiling, wondering what the hell went wrong. That's the kind of pain people fear the most. Not because it hurts, but because it speaks. And it doesn't shut up. It doesn't let you scroll past it or silence it with another motivational video. No. This pain wants your attention. You see, pain is the alarm system of the soul, the siren blaring, warning you that something inside isn't aligned. But most people, they don't listen. They reach for distraction, denial, dopamine. They numb it just enough to function, just enough to make it to the next day, the next meeting, the next lie. Because if they stop, if they sit with that pain, even for a second, oh boy, the truth starts leaking out. And that's dangerous, isn't it? Truth is messy. Truth is inconvenient. Truth blows up your carefully built little world. But pain doesn't care about your schedule. It doesn't care about your status or your followers or your dreams of a beach house and a golden retriever. It shows up uninvited, kicks down the door, and plants itself in the center of your chest like it owns the place. And you know what? It does. Because pain only shows up when something's off. When the path you're walking isn't yours. When the people around you don't see you. When the life you built looks great on paper, but feels like a prison when the lights go out. That's not punishment. That's correction. That's divine redirection. You were heading the wrong way, and the pain was the U-turn. But you fought it, didn't you? You resisted. You told yourself, I just need to be stronger. I just need to stay positive. What a joke. You don't need to be stronger. You need to listen. Because that ache in your chest, that pit in your stomach, that tension that never goes away, that's your soul knocking. That's the universe trying to get a damn word in. You were never supposed to numb it. You were supposed to decode it. Because hidden in that pain is a message. And not just any message. A direct download from something bigger than you. A call to stop lying to yourself. A push to let go of what's killing you slowly. But no one wants to hear that. They want healing without hurting. Growth without discomfort. Clarity without chaos. It doesn't work like that. Pain is the portal. You don't get the truth without bleeding a little for it. And let's talk about that bleeding, shall we? You ever notice how when people hit their lowest point, something awakens in them? A new version of themselves starts to rise from the ashes, wild-eyed and fearless. That version was always in there, but it took pain to crack the shell, to break the layers of conditioning, to burn away the fake. That's not weakness, that's resurrection. That's what pain was trying to do all along. Bring you back to life. You've been sleepwalking, following maps drawn by people who never knew your name, and pain came along and lit that map on fire. You cursed it. You called it unfair, but maybe, just maybe, that fire was a gift. Maybe it was trying to show you the way back to yourself, because no one finds their purpose through comfort. No one finds truth in the safety of numbness. You only hear the real message when everything else goes quiet. And pain, well, pain is real good at shutting out the noise. It doesn't come with a manual. It doesn't arrive with polite warnings. It just shows up like a madman at your door, with wild eyes and burning truth in its hands. And when you finally stop running, stop hiding and look it in the face, you realize it's not your enemy. It never was. It was the messenger, wearing the mask of suffering, carrying something sacred in its twisted little hand. Silence. Now that's a sound people can't handle. Oh, they say they like it. Meditate, they tell you. Breathe, sit still, find your peace. But the moment everything goes quiet, the moment the noise dies down and the world stops spinning for just a second, that's when the panic starts. That's when the real voices creep in, the ones they've been running from, the ones they buried under schedules, notifications, background music, and fake laughter. Because silence doesn't play games. It's not here to soothe you, it's here to expose you. In silence, there's no audience, no mask, just you and whatever's crawling around in that twisted little mind of yours. And that's the part that freaks people out. Because silence, oh, it doesn't let you lie. It holds up a mirror, and not the kind with good lighting. No filters, no touch-ups, just truth, raw, ugly, unavoidable. That's why people fill their lives with noise, constant movement, background chatter, the illusion of control, because if things get too quiet, the questions start. The real one. Who are you when nobody's watching? What do you really want? Why are you doing all this? The job, the image, the hustle. Who's it for? See, silence doesn't whisper sweet nothings. It digs. It drills into the cracks. And if you listen long enough, you'll hear things you've been trying not to hear your whole damn life. Regrets, doubts, truths you thought you buried 6 feet under. But silence has a shovel, and it's been digging while you were busy pretending. Funny how people think clarity comes from thinking harder, making lists, talking it out, asking everyone else what they think. But the truth, the message, it hides in the stillness, deep down where nobody wants to go. It waits until you're finally too tired to pretend, until you've scrolled through every app, listened to every song, answered every meaningless message, and then, only then, when you're empty, when the performance ends, it creeps in. It doesn't knock, it doesn't announce itself, it just arrives. A feeling, a realization, a voice that doesn't use words but somehow says everything. And in that moment, you don't need a guru, you don't need a sign, because the silence already is the sign, but most people miss it. They run, they panic, they turn the volume back up before the silence can finish speaking, because silence is dangerous. It threatens the illusion. It makes you feel things you've buried under 10 years of, I'm fine. But here's the thing. Silence is sacred. It's not empty. It's not void. It's alive. It's the space between the chaos where the truth finally catches up with you, where the message gets through, not in flashing lights or booming voices, but in subtle shifts. A gut feeling, a tear you didn't expect, a sudden knowing that doesn't come from your head but from somewhere deeper, somewhere real, somewhere that doesn't care about your plans or your perfect little image. Because silence, it doesn't care who you pretend to be. It only sees what you are, and it doesn't judge. It just reveals. That's the part that makes people squirm. Not the silence itself, but what it shows them, that they're lost, that they've been living someone else's dream, that the life they built feels more like a cage than a castle. That voice inside you, the one that whispers when everything else goes quiet, that's the one you should have been listening to all along. But it doesn't yell. It waits. Waits for the chaos to die down, waits for the mask to slip, waits for the moment when you're too exhausted to lie to yourself one more time. And then it speaks. Not with words, but with certainty. A feeling that hits you right in the gut and makes everything else fade, and for one terrifying, beautiful second, you know what needs to go, what needs to change, who you need to become. It's all there, wrapped in silence like a secret gift no one else can see. But most won't open it. They'll drown it out. Blast the music louder, fill the silence with distractions, because listening, truly listening, means you can't unhear it. Once the message hits, you can't pretend you don't know anymore. You can't go back to sleep. Silence doesn't just deliver the truth, it demands something from you. And that's what makes it so terrifying. It doesn't give you a choice. It gives you a mirror and dares you to look. Discomfort. Now, there's a word people treat like a disease. They avoid it like it's contagious. Build their whole lives around not feeling it. Softer chairs, smaller risks, filtered emotions, everything designed to keep things smooth and easy. But here's the punchline. Discomfort isn't the enemy. Discomfort is divine. It's the signal flare, the crack in the wall, the whisper behind the curtain. It's the truth dressed in thorns, knocking at your door when you'd rather binge another season of pretend happiness. You think comfort is your reward? It's your prison. It's the padded cell you decorate with goals that aren't yours, smiles that don't reach your eyes, and dreams someone else handed you. Discomfort is the only honest thing in the room, the only one telling you the party's over, the masks slipping, and maybe, just maybe, you're not where you're supposed to be. But do you listen? No. You medicate it. You meditate it away. You label it as anxiety, burnout, stress. Wrap it in clinical terms to make it more digestible. But it's not just stress. It's something older, deeper, smarter. It's that twitch in your soul when you're surrounded by people who don't get you. It's that pit in your stomach when you're working a job that pays the bills but drains your life. It's the ache behind your smile when you pretend to love what's slowly killing you. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's the divine warning system screaming, you're off track. You can ignore it, sure. Keep numbing, silencing, distracting yourself with new goals, new toys, new lies. But discomfort has patience. It'll wait. And it doesn't fade. It festers. See, comfort is a trickster. It tells you everything's fine while your spirit is choking. It gives you just enough pleasure to keep you docile, just enough security to keep you scared of change, and it whispers in your ear, don't rock the boat. But guess what? You were never meant to stay on the boat. You were supposed to build the damn thing, sail it into the storm, and discover what you're made of. Discomfort? That's the storm calling your name. Not to drown you, but to wake you the hell up. People act like their discomfort is some kind of personal flaw, like if they were stronger, better, more positive, they wouldn't feel it. Ha, that's the lie. The truth is, the more awake you are, the louder discomfort becomes, because your soul isn't interested in fitting in. It's not here to settle. It came here to break patterns, rewrite stories, tear down everything fake and build something real. And discomfort is the hammer. It smashes through your delusions. You think the great ones got where they are by chasing comfort? You think people who changed the world did it from a cozy couch, sipping lattes and journaling about their feelings? No, they walked through fire. They listened to their discomfort and let it lead them into chaos, into uncertainty, into the dark places where transformation actually happens. You want to grow? Then you better get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because the message you're waiting for, that divine little whisper, that cosmic memo, it's hidden in the pain, the fear, the agitation. That moment when your skin crawls in a crowded room, that tension when you speak your truth and the room goes silent, that breath you can't take when you realize you've been living a lie. That's the signal. That's the invitation, not to collapse, to rise, to burn the script and start over, to finally stop asking for permission to be who you really are. Discomfort is the invitation to remember what the hell you came here to do, and yet, people reject it. They think they're broken because they feel off. They think something's wrong because they're not smiling like everyone else. But maybe, just maybe, they're not broken. Maybe they're just waking up. And the discomfort? That's not the problem. That's the compass. It's not here to destroy you, it's here to redirect you. Every itch you feel in a fake conversation, every sigh in a soul-draining routine, every pang of this can't be it, that's divine guidance in disguise, but only if you're brave enough to listen. Because here's the secret no one wants to admit. Transformation doesn't feel good. It's not pretty. It's not a highlight reel. It's messy. It's raw. It's full of nights where you question everything, and mornings where you don't recognize the person in the mirror. That's not failure. That's progress. That's divine instruction, scribbled in discomfort, waiting for someone mad enough to read between the lines. You're not crazy. Let's start there. You're not broken. You're not unstable. You're not too much. What you are is called. But they don't tell you that, do they? Nah. The moment you start feeling things too deeply, questioning too loudly, dreaming too wildly, they slap a label on you. Sensitive, rebellious, difficult, crazy. As if that word they love the most, crazy. As if that one word could explain away the fire in your bones. As if your discomfort with this plastic little world is some kind of malfunction. But what if it's not? What if that ache in your chest, that pressure behind your eyes, that gnawing little voice that says, this isn't it? What if that's not a glitch in the system? What if you're the system breaker? What if you're not falling apart, you're falling awake? Think about it. What if all those restless nights, all those sudden waves of emotion, all those moments where you feel like you don't fit in anywhere, what if those are symptoms of something divine knocking on your door? They'll try to medicate the message, mute it, box it up. You just need a break, they'll say. You're overthinking, they'll whisper. But deep down, beneath the noise, you know something bigger is trying to reach you. And it doesn't use words, it uses pressure, frustration, isolation, all those feelings you've been taught to hide. Those are signals, holy signals, cosmic breadcrumbs. The universe doesn't send messages through casual convenience. It screams through your discomfort. It echoes through your loneliness. It whispers through your madness. You think it's a coincidence you feel so out of place that you walk into rooms and immediately feel the tension under the surface, that you see through people's masks while they keep pretending everything's fine? That's not insanity. That's vision. That's insight. That's calling. But no one celebrates that. They fear it. Because a person who feels that deeply, who sees that clearly, they're dangerous. You can't control someone like that. You can't sell them the dream, because they already see the nightmare hiding behind it. Do you ever notice how the ones who truly change the world always seemed off at first? Misfits, rebels, freaks. But maybe they weren't off. Maybe they were just tuned into a frequency the rest of the world was too scared to hear. And that's where you are, in the static, between the noise, in the space where everything looks fine on the surface but feels wrong underneath. And it drives you mad, doesn't it? This constant feeling that something's missing, that something's coming, that you were meant for something more, but can't quite grasp it. That's not a bug in your brain. That's a signal from your soul. That tension in your gut when you compromise. That numbness after a day of pretending. That heaviness when you smile for a photo that doesn't reflect what's really going on inside. That's divine discomfort. That's sacred agitation. That's your calling fighting its way through the static of your routine. You're not crazy. You're aware. And that awareness, that sensitivity, that's your superpower. But powers aren't born polished. They come raw, unrefined, loud, confusing. They don't arrive with an instruction manual. They arrive as chaos, disruption, isolation, because that's how the signal gets through. Not when everything's smooth, but when everything cracks, when the walls shake, when the voice inside gets louder than the voices outside. That's when the message hits. And it doesn't come gently. It shoves you. It rattles you. It forces you to feel, because feeling, real feeling, is the gateway. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to stand out, to stir the pot, to shake people awake just by being yourself. But to do that, you had to first get shaken, rattled, ripped apart, because the version of you that plays nice and follows rules, that one's easy to manage. But the one who embraces the madness, who accepts the discomfort, who dares to feel everything, that version, that one's a threat. That one can't be ignored. So when you hear that voice, that pulse, that push, that strange knowing that no one else seems to feel, don't run from it. That's the call. That's the invitation. That's something holy breaking through the static of the world and speaking directly to you, not in logic, not in reason, but in raw, unfiltered knowing. Ignore the noise, feel the pull. Yeah, I said it. Because the noise, it's everywhere, isn't it? Like a swarm of flies buzzing in your head. Opinions, expectations, distractions dressed up like dreams. Everyone's talking, everyone's shouting. Everyone's got advice. Be this, do that, follow this path, wear this smile. It's deafening. A never-ending parade of static selling you a life you never even asked for. You think you're thinking for yourself, but really, you're just drowning in someone else's soundtrack. The noise tells you to be realistic, to settle, to smile when you're bleeding inside. It tells you what success should look like, what happiness should feel like, what normal is supposed to be. And you play along, nodding like a puppet, dressing your pain in politeness, dying in slow motion, because if you stopped and really listened to yourself, you'd have to admit that none of it fits, that the mask it handed you doesn't breathe. But there's something else. Underneath all of it, beneath the chaos, the chatter, the fake inspiration, and real anxiety, there's a pull. A quiet tug in your chest, a pressure behind your ribs, a feeling you can't explain, can't ignore, and definitely can't shut off. It's soft, but it's relentless. It doesn't yell, it aches. It's that tiny voice you keep trying to silence, that whisper that gets louder every time you do something that goes against your own soul. And that's the thing, isn't it? The noise is loud. But the pull is honest. It doesn't need to scream because it knows. It knows what you really are, what you're meant to do, who you're supposed to become. It doesn't care about your resume, your followers, your carefully crafted image. The pull's not impressed by your performance. It wants what's real. It wants you. The version of you that you buried under everybody else's noise. Funny how you feel it most in the quiet moments, when the music stops, when the party's over, when the room's full but you still feel alone. That's when it hits. That's when the pull grabs you by the heart and says, this isn't it. But then the noise rushes back in, doesn't it? Telling you you're crazy, ungrateful, dramatic, that you should be happy, that you have everything, that other people would kill for your life. But guess what? Other people aren't you. And your soul doesn't give a damn about what looks good on paper. You were never meant to chase what they chase. You were never built for quiet desperation in a cubicle or shallow applause on a screen. The pull is your reminder. A message sent straight from the source, coded into your blood, activated every time you settle for less than what sets your soul on fire. And the more you ignore it, the louder it gets, not in volume but in consequences. That's the trick. The longer you resist the pull, the heavier the mask becomes. The more you fake it, the more it bleeds into your skin. Do you ever wonder why you're tired all the time? Why you're so drained even when you're doing everything right? That's not burnout from doing too much. That's the exhaustion of living a life that's not yours. Because running from the pull takes effort. It takes energy to pretend. It takes stamina to silence your own spirit every single day. You're not just tired, you're disconnected. You're off refreshment. You've been tuning into static so long, you forgot what your own signal sounds like. But deep down it's still there, that pull, that strange compass pointing somewhere nobody else can see. It's not logical, it doesn't always make sense. It doesn't come with a 5-year plan or a guaranteed outcome. It just is. And the wildest part? It's never wrong. Not once. Every time you followed it, even when it made no sense, even when it scared the hell out of you, it led you to something real, something alive, something that reminded you who the hell you are. But to follow it, you've got to tune out the noise, and that takes madness. Glorious, beautiful madness. The kind that makes you walk away from comfort, the kind that makes you say no to the script, the kind that makes everyone around you think you've lost it, But maybe what they call losing it is actually finding it. Finding that inner frequency, that signal that doesn't need validation or applause or understanding. It just needs obedience. Relentless, terrifying, soul-shaking obedience to the thing pulling you somewhere only you were meant to go. A message from God won't come soft. That's the part they never tell you. They dress it up in sweet words and sunshine metaphors. The universe whispers, they say. Listen to the gentle signs. Gentle? You think divinity's got time to whisper through your noise-canceling headphones in your perfectly curated chaos? No, no, no. When it comes, it breaks. When it comes, it tears the roof off your little illusion and sets fire to your comfort zone with a smile. It doesn't knock. It kicks the damn door off its hinges. You're expecting feathers, and feathers don't make you move. Pain does. Shock does. Collapse does. That's how the message arrives, wrapped in ruin, dipped in chaos, wearing the face of everything you thought you couldn't handle. You ask for guidance and then scream when life pulls the rug out from under you. But that was the guidance. That moment where everything cracked and you couldn't breathe, that was the message. Divine, deliberate, delivered with precision. People want the divine to feel safe, sweet, easy. But nothing sacred comes in silence when your life is too loud. It has to break through the static, smash the glass, flip the table. You didn't hear the whisper, so now here comes the scream, the layoff, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the breakdown. You thought it was the end. It wasn't. It was the beginning dressed like disaster. God doesn't send tech. God sends storms. You see, a soft message gets ignored. That gentle nudge, you brush it off. That gut feeling, you silence it. You feel it in your stomach and you call it anxiety. You feel it in your chest and you label it stress. But it's not stress. It's pressure. Cosmic pressure, holy pressure. It builds and builds until your fake life starts to crack under the weight of something real trying to be born. But you're busy, too busy. So the message has to come loud. It has to come raw. It has to come in a way that makes you stop breathing, stop pretending, stop running. You think your worst day was a curse. That was a delivery. Handwritten by the universe, signed, sealed, and slammed into your existence. Because without the pain, without the collapse, you would have stayed asleep. You would have kept dancing for a life that doesn't fit. Kept clapping along to someone else's rhythm. But the message? It came to ruin that, to wreck your illusion, and show you what's real. And real doesn't arrive gently. Real doesn't care about your schedule or your comfort. Real comes for your soul, not your sanity. They say, if it's meant for you, it'll feel right. What a joke. If it's meant for you, it'll burn. It'll feel like drowning and resurrection at the same time, like you're being ripped open just to finally breathe again. You ask for truth and then run when it shows up without makeup. Truth doesn't come dressed for dinner. It comes bloody, barefoot, and barefoot. Truth is hard to look at because it asks you to change. It asks you to let go of everything that's not real, and you've gotten real cozy with the fake. The divine message doesn't coddle, it confronts. It drags you out of the shallow water and throws you into the deep. You wanted growth? Growth requires death. Death of the version of you that kept settling. Death of the story that kept you small. The message arrives as a sledgehammer, not a lullaby. And that's the gift, that's the grace in the madness. Not that it comes gently, but that it comes at all. You were drifting, you were numb. You were living a life that looked alive, but felt like sleepwalking. And then it came. That one moment that changed everything, that sentence, that accident, that loss, that breakdown, and now you're awake. Bruised, maybe. Angry? Sure, but awake. You can feel again. And feeling is the first step to remembering. Remembering who you were before the masks, before the noise, before you were trained to be small. That message didn't arrive to comfort you. It arrived to claim you, and claiming doesn't feel soft. It feels like fire. It feels like madness. It feels like freedom. So if everything's falling apart, if nothing makes sense, if life just pulled the floor out from under you, maybe that's not the end. Maybe that's the start of the message. Maybe you're not cursed. Maybe you're just being cracked open. Because a soft life never called anyone to greatness. It's the pain that carves the path. It's the chaos that clears the space. And the message? Oh, the message never shows up with a bow. It shows up with blood, with loss, with truth. And truth doesn't knock. Truth breaks in.